and welcome to the channel. Today I will be discussing and comparing character designs between Honkai Impact 3rd and Genshin Impact. I'm doing this because I'm really passionate about both games and I love their characters and their stories so much. I always get very happy when I can tell they are trying to do a parallel between Genshin Impact and Honkai Impact, so I just want to share some of the ones I have noticed. This video is just for fun, and I don't think Hoyoverse is making these for like lore heavy reasons. I just think they're doing this because it's fun and it's nice for their fan base. The first ones I want to focus on is Haska Void and Unknown God Asmodee. Genshin Impact, when you begin playing the game, you see the two travelers, the main characters, Lumine and Aether, and Asmodee. First meet her, she's just called Unknown God. Asmodee has the color schemes of like white and like yellowish mostly. She also has an A-hawk sticking out from the side of her head, and she uses some sort of powers that have something to do where you see some cube formation, where she ends up trapping both Lumine and Aether in the cubes. And then we have Haska Void, which is a Haska form Kiana Castana ends up becoming. Haska Void looks very close to Asmodee. We see the same A-hawk, they have the same eye color, but they also both share the similarity in they both have cube designs. They also share the same Chinese and Japanese voice actress in both games, and I think that's just like a nice tie-in and nod to Honkai Impact and Genshin Impact. Personally, I don't believe there's any lore reason between them looking the same. I think it's just Genshin Impact wanting to be nice to Honkai Impact. You have to remember, Honkai Impact 3rd came out before Genshin Impact, so they were trying to make Honkai Impact players also play Genshin Impact. And I think they believed if they showed something really close to Haska Void, it would make a lot of Honkai Impact players really interested in the game. That's just like my personal theory on that. Another famous example is Raiden Mei and Raiden Ei. In Honkai Impact, one of the main free girls we meet is Raiden Mei. Raiden Mei wasn't really good at cooking, but she learned to cook since her best friend Kiana couldn't really, so she learned to cook for Kiana's sake. Raiden Mei also has, funny enough, because Raiden means thunder, so she has thunder powers, and she ends up becoming the Haska of Thunder, funny enough. She ends up in another universe, or like another kind of new place. She ends up in a Lysa's realm, where she comes and meet a lot of new cast, which also happens in Genshin Impact sorta. In Genshin Impact, the Archon in Inazuma is called Raiden Ei. Raiden Ei and Raiden Mei both have the same kind of hair color and similar color schemes, and in Genshin Impact, Raiden Ei stays inside her own sort of realm. I think it's really easy to tell they're meant to be parallels because of their name and their colors being alike, but there's also an interesting case of them both being friends or talking to someone called Yae Sakura or Yae Miko in their respective games, and I'll get into that sooner. I still see Raiden Ei as being a really separate character from Raiden Mei, even though I love Mei Senpai and I love Ei as much. I think it's clear they're meant to be separate characters, but meant to be tie-ins to each other. And I think it's really nice as a Honkai Impact player seeing Raiden Ei also in the game. The first region you play in Genshin Impact is in Mondstadt, and in Mondstadt their Archon is Venti. Venti is an Archon who fought for freedom of his own place. Honkai Impact, there's a girl we have to help. Her name is Wendy. She was experimented on and got really mad and wanted to like get rid of people. and ended up dying in her own ways while trying to get her own freedom. I think it's interesting having a parallel of this Archon in Genshin Impact who like fought to get his freedom, and he ended up freeing his people. And then we in Honkai Impact we have this girl who died because she wanted to be free. Besides, of course, their stories being opposites, their name are very similar, Venti, Wendy, and they both also control the power of wind. The one I don't think a lot of people know is Chi and Sora. Sora is a Honkai Impact girl. It's like a homeless kind of girl we made at some point. Lives with a lot of other kids in like a kind of abandoned city. Sora also has a robot friend called Mark too, which she helps to kind of, when there comes these, they're called Honkai beasts. When they come, she's used that to like help her get free. And Chi, looking very similar, same hair color, same eye color, both like child body, and also have like some sort of hoodie or hat on. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, I 100 can see the parallels. There is a difference, right? Because Chi is basically a zombie, while Sora is alive. So I think it's I do like how they have separate stories, but they are meant to look like each other at least. And I think that's an important point to take from this video. A lot of the times, Genshin and Honkai Impact characters have very different stories, but they look alike. And I think it's a nice, it's a nice parallel. There's also one I see a lot of negative comments about online, which I believe to be true, but I also see a lot who don't believe it to be true. It's Furina from Genshin Impact and Sin Mao from Honkai Impact. Sin Mao is kind of like a bratty guy, bratty person, kind of a really annoying person. Was really annoying in the manga and just not nice. Sin has this like kind of hair with a really big a-hawk and some hair coverings. He dressed kind of more like fancy compared to a lot of Honkai Impact characters don't dress like fancy. They dress pretty, but not like fancy on that level. Furina having a really similar kind of a-hawk going on and dressing really fancy, not like really girly, but like fancy. And also being like a brat and annoying. They share some traits that are also kind of like each other. In Honkai Impact, Sin Mao pushes down a person down the stairs and it's like, let me just push this person down the stairs, what could go wrong? And in Genshin Impact, as we know, Furina is really quick to try to put someone to trial even without like a lot of evidence. Lastly, I want to mention La Signora and Cocolia. La Signora is a Genshin Impact character. She's one of the Fatui members, or was. She's now dead. And she had a like really cool color scheme going on, and she was like really, awesome. Honkai verse, the Honkai Impact verse. Cocolia dies in every universe. She always dies no matter what. She doesn't survive. We can look at Honkai Impact. You can also look at Honkai Star Rail. I know I haven't played the game, but I had heard she's died there. And she's also meant to be a La Signora parallel. We can see it, for example, in their hair color. They both have a hair color going on, and they both have roots to some sort of Russian stuff. They're also both villains in the game. Cocolia is a really annoying villain, and of course La Signora is one of the first villains. She's the first Fatui member we actually get introduced to, I believe. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and will watch more of my other videos. Bye bye!